Andy, I don't have quite a travel story like you've had, but I have a little frustration one.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So I'm coming back from Des Moines yesterday. I have a carry-on and my backpack, right? So the backpack goes underneath, carry-on goes on top. Pretty standard stuff, right? So I know it's going to be a full flight because you can go in and check and see your seats if you can move around a little bit or whatever, but it was going to be a full flight. And then, of course, they tell you it's a full flight. Um, and then they also tell you to like check your bags because if there might not be carry-on
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Standard lines.
So
Standard lines.
yeah, so I'm in group 6 for American, which seems like it's a late group, but it kind of really isn't.
Kind of everybody, right? Everybody's group 5 and 6, it seems like.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I think more people are in group 7 or something for America. It is a weird thing, but
Yeah.
so I'm sitting there and I'm watching all these people board, and I'm like, I'm getting a little worried, like maybe I'm not going to get my overhead bin, and then I'm going to like cause delays. And they keep saying there's going to be limited overhead space.
Yeah.
So I get, I'm like, "Ugh, crap, fine, I'll just check my bag. I'll check my bag. And I get on, then I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit better. And especially since group 5 was really large and they all had carry-ons, so I was like, okay, this was a good decision, Dave. Good decision. I get on, there's nothing in the overhead space. Like, and I'm like, why did I do that? Because I like to get off the plane,
Grab your
get to my
bag.
car, and get the hell out of there. I don't want to have to wait for like my bag to come out and all that stuff. And now, if I was in the last group, group 7, I would have checked my bag because there were people trying to fit everything in, but I had plenty of space. I was a little frustrated, but my bag did come out second though, Andy, so of the turnstile. So I wasn't as delayed getting home because I just want to get home at that
Yeah.
point.
It's you just want to get back at the end of that trip. That's, yeah. I mean, again, traveling by plane generally sucks. I mean, it's just a bus in the air, Dave. We glorify air travel. It's just a bus that's flying through the air. It's nothing fantastic, and it's not for most of us, right? For us common people, Dave, it's not like a luxurious experience that we're so looking forward to. We're trying to get someplace. The faster we can
Right.
do, the better. That's why, given the choice, I'll always choose the open road. America's beautiful hardball highways are always superior to flying if the option is available. Like, I got to
Well,
come
that
back down to your neck of the woods here in a couple of weeks. I'm driving because I don't want to fly down North Carolina. I'm gonna hop in the car for 7 hours and I'm gonna enjoy beautiful America.
you enjoy beautiful America. I mean, you can go your own, generally speaking, you can go your own way. You can
Oh,
go.
oh yeah, you doing some Fleetwood Mac for us this morning? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So that's always good. Okay, Andy, let's get into some topics.
Do it.
Yeah, I don't know if we have a much on the sports front to start with, but we'll just go a little bit. We'll see where it goes because we're going to go long on politics today.
Oh boy.
The Vikings game last night, usually a stinker on Thursdays. I think the last 2 Thursdays have been pretty good. The Rams beat the Vikings, so now the Vikings have lost 2 in a row.
Right.
The Rams kind of can look dangerous now. They got Cooper Cup back
Yeah.
and Puka Natu. I think I'm saying that right.
Puka Nacua.
Natua. Yeah, and they got them back, and they had a good game yesterday against the Vikings.
Yeah. I mean, look, a couple of days ago, even, I think people were talking about the Rams being a team that was on the sell market for
Yep.
the trade deadline, right? Like, hey, Stafford might end up in Minnesota. Stafford might end up in New York. I heard all these crazy rumors. Stafford's not going anywhere, and then they get their talent back. Look, when the season started out, like I was nervous about that opening game, Rams Lions. It was a close game, and the Rams played good football, and they looked good early on, but injuries hit them pretty hard, right? I mean,
Yep.
Stafford's not the youngest quarterback. Nakua was hurt. Cup was hurt. You get those guys all back and playing football in a suspect NFC West. Rams could win that division. They are a dangerous team. I don't think they're in a sell mode at all. They might be going out and grabbing a player or two and trying to make a rush because the Niners are banged up. The Niners aren't looking like they're going to be a threat this year right now. Although they're probably going to beat your Cowboys on Sunday, and so there's opportunity. So yeah, the Rams look good, and Dave, the Vikings, the Lions beat them on Sunday. You break that seal. Now they're 4-2 or 5-2, whatever it is, and the Lions a game up on them. The Lions are playing the Titans this week, so dub for the Lions. I'm only going to get to watch that game, so I'm kind of sad about that. But yeah, it was good to see that win for the Rams. Good for me for Minnesota to lose. It's always exciting in the NFL, Dave. It's why it's America's greatest game.
Yeah, just real quickly on the Rams. I mean, they play the Seahawks next week,
Yeah.
which will be a good game. But then they play the Dolphins, Patriots, Eagles, Saints. I mean, those next five games, it's at least 3-2. It could be 4-1, and
Eagles game's a big one. Eagles have to either get back on track and show if they're going to, do something this year, or Sirianni's going to get fired, and then they're going to be out of luck. And the Rams game is a good barometer, right? Can you beat a good, probably playoff caliber team in the Rams that's healthy, or not? And if the Rams could win that game, and that'd be trouble for the Eagles.
yeah, yeah. So, all right. So that's one part of it. There's some for me on the college football side. We've had some really good
Yeah,
weeks in a row of college football, big games coming up, or over the last 2 weekends. Penn State plays Wisconsin. This will be a big game because next week they play Ohio State, which is even a bigger game. Penn State typically plays with Wisconsin. I don't think is that good, but Penn State, but they're better than average, and they'll be pretty decent in this game. But not much to report else on the college football front, Andy. But World Series starts tonight, Andy.
yeah.
The Los Angeles Dodgers versus the New York Yankees. Everybody always says like these sports teams always want to get the dream matchup is New York and LA in anything or whatever. Those
I
are
don't say that, just to be clear. I don't say that.
but it never or it rarely happens, I'll say. The Yankees and the Dodgers used to meet a lot in the playoffs. Um, uh, whether they were the Brooklyn Dodgers or the Los Angeles Dodgers, but they haven't really met. They haven't met in the World Series since 1981 when the Dodgers won. The Yankees haven't been in the World Series for 15 years since 2009.
It's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe. I mean, they were one of those franchises that at least every decade they were in the World Series or winning the World or the championship or something. But are you going to watch any baseball at all, Andy?
So no, I definitely won't. But here's my question for you, Dave, because I mean I do passively pay attention, right? And it seems like, I mean, we talked about the Dodgers before the season started, a lot of hype around the Dodgers, but for all the excitement of the playoffs in the Major League Baseball, I mean, at the end of the day, is this just the two like richest teams getting all the talent and making it to the World Series? Because baseball, you can still do that, right? You can still basically
You,
buy your championship team. There's no salary cap. I mean, is that what we're seeing here? Is just go out and get the best players, spend a ton of money, you go to the World Series?
look, it clearly is for the Dodgers. The Dodgers used to be a pretty frugal team, but over the last 5 years, they have just like they spent over $1 billion on Shohei Ohtani and the pitcher Yamamoto last offseason. Now, the ironic thing about Ohtani's contract is it was 700 million, but for the next 7 years or something, he's only making $2 million a year, and then it's really backloaded. But the Dodgers definitely have paid an exorbitant amount. Mookie Betts is really high. They would keep buying pitchers. They have more like dollars invested on people who are injured than some people have on their entire payroll. The Yankees haven't been in the last. They've actually been a lot frugal in the last couple of years, trying to grow their players, but they have a big offseason coming up because Juan Soto, one of the best young players in baseball, is up for free agency. Question is, the Yankees pay him? They're already paying a lot of money for Stanton and some of these other players. So, but yeah, baseball it is. I mean, now it doesn't always work that way, but but I mean, these are the two richest teams. I
Yeah,
mean, it is what it is.
yeah.
And this is where, and I think this is just where baseball. I don't know. Do you prefer the parity or do you prefer for all the elite teams? I don't know.
I'm a fan of the idea that anybody can win the championship. I don't like the idea the major cities come in with a lot of money and just buy the championship. That's what it feels like. If that was the case, then the Giants wouldn't suck, for years on end, right? The Rams would be the best team in football all the time. So I like it when they can mix it up a little bit, Dave.
Yeah, I kind of I like it too. I do like the NFL construct where really, I mean, if you make the right draft decisions and if you make the right, free agency pickups based under what you have on the salary cap,
Yeah,
you can do that and teams then have to make some hard decisions, but basketball has a really interesting salary cap where if you go above the cap 1 year you get a little bit penalized, but if you do it multiple years, like they have like tiers of like how far above you are.
yeah,
Like the Boston Celtics have paid effectively, they pretty much said fuck the salary cap, I'm going to pay all my starters the max contracts that they can get. But in 2 years, we're gonna have to break this entire team up.
yeah.
And so the Celtics are saying we're gonna go for it in these 2 years because next year we might be the worst team in the league. Not really, but I mean that's the way it kind of feels.
I mean, we
So
kind of saw with the NFL. I mean, that was the Bucks, right? They got Tom Brady and all the talent, and they made a run. We saw that with the Rams. The next year, they brought in Stafford, made the run. So we kind of seen that model of like, hey, spend it all now, win the championship, and maybe it's worth it, right? I mean, maybe it's worth it to get that one championship, and then you collapse for a couple of years. Both those franchises aren't doing terrible. I love seeing what Detroit's doing, and the Bucks now in a sense, where you're building your team through the draft, through some smart trades, over time, getting better. It's exciting to see that. But anyway,
yeah, yeah. All right, Andy, let's go into our next segment. We went a little long there, but that's okay. We're not going to really fixate on time today. We use it as a guide. Andy, I sent you a story yesterday.
yes,
In a rare move, the Pentagon denies falsehood about troops allowed to use force. This is coming from, esteemed truth tellers,
yeah,
Robert Kennedy Jr. and Mike Flynn, former general, disgraced asshole. He is. I can say that because I actually met him and know, his reputation in the military, and he fucking sucks, man. Let's just say it is. He's an asshole, and it is what it is. So I don't mind disparaging Mike Flynn on here because of all people, he should know the importance of information, and he keeps spewing disinformation.
yeah,
But yesterday, Andy, the Pentagon had to come out and say that Mike Flynn and RFK, what they're saying that suggests the Defense Department revised the policy late last month that
yeah.
was time to interfere with the election, basically saying the use of force by federal troops on U.S. soil against U.S. Civilians is against the law, except in cases of self-defense, and it's outlined in the Posse Comitatus Act. A basic, the revision was about a DoD policy, and it does not allow the use of force on U.S. citizens. I mean, just this is what it is. So, but this is just crappy, Andy. I just love to see how this kind of stuff gets spread out and how people keeps sharing this information. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, it's it's the Washington Times reporting this, right? Which is leans Trump, leans Republican, right? So this isn't like some left wing report. This is
Yeah,
Washington Times
right.
reporting on DOD, who's just like dispelling complete bullshit being put out on shockingly on X, right? It's just nonsense, and this is the problem with this is it's so hard to correct this information goes out. And there's a lot's been talked about this, right? But you send it out there to your 4 million, 10 million, whatever followers that RFK and these other guys have online. People consume it and they believe it. And it's done. Like it's done. They believe it. And so when the fact checkers come in and say, hey, no, this is the truth, it's too late. Like the story's been sold. People don't believe it at that point, right? The true believers don't believe it at that point. And so that information just runs out there wild and it feeds these conspiracy theories and other bullshit people buy into. And it's just false. And that allows, narratives to be created ahead of the election of, why we have to show up with weapons at the ballot box, right? And why people are getting amped up and all this tensions are rising. And it just feeds into this story that we're seeing is the clear intent to claim victory, right, and deny the victory to Kamala Harris if that happens, right? But you see the stage being set for that, and so we're going to have another situation potentially where we're going to deny the vote and say it was DOD and it was the DHS and all these corrupt people, and none of it's true. None of it's true, Dave. And I was just reading the other day here in Virginia, or in Henrico County, lies about the election officials there were put out. They come in to try and fact check it. It's too late. The story gets ahead of reality. You can't put that crap back in the box after it gets out there. And RFK Jr. knows what he's doing. Stone knows what he's doing. Michael Flynn knows what he's doing. Like these guys know exactly what they're doing when they sell this bullshit. Sadly, 47% of America continues to consume it spoon after spoon, and it's causing problems. I mean, it's seriously causing problems. It can cause physical violence, which is a real problem.
Yeah, no, to your point, these people know what they're doing. I
Yeah,
mean, and that's the sick part about it. And it's really exploiting people and so on. So that was one story, Andy. You also had stories coming out this week. A new book from Mitch McConnell, in which and this is getting some play across a lot of the media, is in which he's saying the MAGA movement is completely wrong, and then someone like Reagan wouldn't recognize this Republican Party. We've heard this before. What kind of pisses me off about Mitch McConnell saying this is in times that Mitch McConnell can actually say it when he's not trying to make a
yeah,
profit,
yeah,
he doesn't say it and he
yeah,
defers and he like look how many people came out after January 6th and said this is wrong and then 6 months later you're in the back pocket of the guy who you were saying was the worst person in the world
yeah.
and that's what pisses me like go fuck yourself, Mitch McConnell. I mean, like when you have the opportunity to do it, you should do it. I mean, I'm just tired of these politicians.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I read it and I was like, hey, my initial thought was good on Mitch to make these comments, right? He's being, but you're absolutely right, right? Like when you can say in front of the American people at a time when somebody can listen and you can take a bold stand, you're just putting a sock in your mouth and not saying a single word, right? Because you want to hold on to your position, you don't want to have that conflict, blah blah. Now that you're 10,000 years old and looking to get out of the Senate, now you want to publish your book and you want to sell your book, and so you want to say all this inflammatory shit which might be true, but yeah, like I said, too late, Bucko. Like you should have manned up 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, and spoken publicly about what you knew to be true. And you're gonna do it now that nobody gives a shit, and you want to sell your book. That's crap, right? I mean, that's knowingly hurting America for your benefit both times, right? The first time for your politics, the second time for your pocketbook. And it's bullshit. It's disgusting. Stand up and say what you got to say up front. Be honest about it up front and deal with the consequences. You're a politician. You're supposed to be a leader. He's a leader of the Senate. He has been for like 10,000 years. Right? He should be, stand up, have some balls, and have the courage to say what he should say. And he didn't. He was a coward. Now he's complaining that Trump didn't like his wife and blah, 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 blah. Like, screw you, man. Like, screw you. Too late. Like, too late. You blew it. You failed America. You're a coward.
Yeah, and I mean, I think these guys, like, when did you sell out, right? At what point did you do it? When you ran the first time, or was it like, I don't know, but I mean, in the '80s, Andy, we used to like call out the sellouts, and now we don't. Now we just go along for the ride with some of this bullshit.
Yeah.
So, all right, Andy. So that's another one. I mean, we've got a lot of stories here today, Andy.
Yeah.
Um, there's been again reporting about Trump's former military generals who have said that, in private conversation, again, like everyone who's listening, and again, we're not trying to bash on Trump, but like these are just open facts on a lot of things, and go fact check it yourself. But you have generals who used to work for the former president. At the time they were hired, they were told like these are great, wonderful generals. They know what they're doing. They've had
Yeah.
great military successes.
The best. He only hires the best people. Only hires the
Yeah,
best
he only
people.
hires the best people, right? I mean, it wasn't like somebody put a gun to his head and made him hire. But then, once they realize what Trump really was and who he really is, they get pushed out. But I guess apparently, um, some of these individuals are speaking up again and saying that had Trump had compared and wanted, some of our generals to be like the former like Hitler's generals
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this is like how much do we work ourselves onto it, but the bottom line is, Andy, like the people who used to work for the former president, all are voting against the former president.
Yeah.
Like do you need more, or are all these people in cahoots against the former president and they just hate him? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what's shocking is like the trust in Trump by those who trust him is so deep that it doesn't matter who changes their opinion, who says what, nothing will dispel the fact that Trump is the savior, right? And so you're right. I mean, there's all these generals, and as Trump hires them and brings them in, not just generals, but other leaders, Dave, right? I mean, his former vice president being among them, right? Who Trump, right? And as he brings them in, he praises his genius at hiring people. You know, he was the guy that ran The Apprentice, Fard, right? He knows how to bring the best talent in, and he brings people in. And then he's getting rid of them all a couple months later because they're not doing exactly what he wants them to do. And then they're shit and scum and crap, Dave, right? They're the worst people on earth. You can't trust them. Well, then how are we going to trust your new people that you've brought in? Like these new ass clowns that you've brought in, and now are saying they're great. Now is JD Vance great now? I mean, so it's just nonsense. It's chaos. He doesn't want good people. He wants yes men. That's what Trump lives for. That's what autocrats, thugs like him live for. And it's bullshit. But nothing will dispel the vision of the savior for the true believers, right? For Trump, because I mean, you hear the reasons people support him. You hear the replies on when people get questioned about it. And it's not about politics. It's not about policy. It's not about anything except for this man. Like this man is the reason I'm voting, right? It's Trump, right? It's not because he's a great politician or his principles that anybody's buying into. And it's just a really interesting time, right? I'm not faulting anybody. You believe and do what you want as a citizen. It's just very strange, and it's scary because it does create the opportunity for this massive cult of personality and potentially, right, an abuse of power that those who are blind followers will say, no, we need to do this. It's okay. Like we can put democracy aside because Trump knows what he's doing. And that's awful. Like that's exactly what our founders were trying to make sure didn't happen when they created this country.
Yeah, in 100% agree, Andy. In all fairness, Andy, because we want to be fair and balanced, the Trump posted on social media on his True Social pod or platform. Thank you for your support against a total degenerate named John Kelly, who made up a story about out of pure Trump derangement syndrome
Yeah.
hatred.
Yeah.
This guy has two qualities which don't work well together. He was tough and dumb. The problem is his toughness morphed into weakness because he became jello with time. The story about soldiers was a lie in all caps, and as are numerous other stories he told. Even though I shouldn't be wasting my time with him, I always feel it's necessary to hit back in pursuit of the truth in
Yeah.
caps.
Yeah.
John Kelly is a lowlife and a bad general whose advice in the House I no longer sought and told him to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going from the man that couldn't. I think he went through 3 or 4 sectors of Homeland Security in his one term in office, right? Because they kept on wanting to do their job, and he didn't want them to do their job. He wanted them to say, "Yes, you're great, President Trump." It's just amazing. Look, I'm no like fan of old generals, right? I mean, I argued with senior officers. That's part of why I left the military, is I knew I couldn't maintain a successful career if I was going to argue with every '06 that came across my path, right? So like I have no love lost for some of these old crusty generals. Like I'm happy to disagree with them, but that they're patriots, that most of them have tried to serve. Most of them, some are garbage, right? And they're trying to do the right thing. And a guy like John Kelly, he came in with a good background. He was trying to serve the nation, and he's looking at this guy. He's working with this guy and saying, "This guy's a freaking lunatic," right? And he can't.
Yeah.
And that's not. And it's not just one person doing that, right? It's time and time again, senior leader after senior leader. Again, like I have no love for Mike Pence, but Mike Pence is out there, his vice president, saying like this guy has no integrity. I mean, like you've got to look at who's saying what, and it's the same ass clowns on one side putting out the same bullshit, right? From Stone to Giuliani to Flynn to all these other clowns, and then you've got all these former leaders saying this isn't right, and it's just a mind-boggling time in America, Dave.
It certainly is, Andy. It's sad that we had to do this. Andy, did you also see like the when you talk about dis, and malinformation? It's ironic that on the socials, you've seen the E. coli outbreak in McDonald's, Andy. Well,
Fake,
now
Dave. Fake.
this this is a government conspiracy because Trump was in a McDonald's
Yep.
and he served fries. He didn't wash his hand. I don't know what the fuck, but Just more garbage. And the fact that people, I guess, like before, conspiracies were kind of cool, like the JFK conspiracy, alien conspiracies. Those were kind of fun, like it was interesting to dig into those. But now that everybody has like this platform that they can just spew whatever shit they want to, it is fucking amazing what kind of stuff comes up and what kind of stuff people fucking believe. All the fun stuff. So Andy, we did two cycles on or segments on politics and just the asinine craziness it is. Any thoughts before we just wrap up this week? I probably shouldn't have. This was a shitty way to end the week. Sorry.
You got me too fired up on a Friday here, Dave. You got me too fired up on a Friday with this. So I mean, no, like I mean, on the politics side, like again, like people should vote however they want to vote, and I know that some people feel that they really believe in Donald Trump and want to vote for him. At the end of the day, Dave, if people can just accept the results of the election, because it's important, I think, to keep saying like our elections will be safe, secure, and reliable. The results are going to be accurate, right? It might take a couple days to get the results because it's going to be close in some states, right? But the results will be the results, regardless of who you support or believe. If people can just accept the results and then take it back up at the ballot box again in the governor's elections, the Senate, the House, and eventually again the presidential election, just don't go to violence, right? And that's really the only concern. Like we can deal with Kamala Harris or Donald Trump for 4 years. We just can't deal with Americans attacking Americans physically because of their politics. And God willing, people accept the results of the election, win or lose, and move forward peacefully. And we can all rant and rave about the candidate in office and or the president that takes over, and like that's fine. Like that's fine. Like hate the president, you know what I mean, if you want, but keep it peaceful. That's America. Patriotism is accepting the results of the ballot box, not showing up armed and threatening violence. And I hope that people, and it's on both sides, because there's a lot of fired up people on the left too. And if Donald Trump wins, there's gonna be a lot of pissed off, left leaners that could also take violent action. We saw some of that. We saw explosive devices and things of that nature last time around. So to all sides, like just patriotism is accepting the results of the election. The results will be fair and accurate and true.
Hey, I that's a good way to end the podcast, Andy. I think in spirit of the shirt you're wearing, come with me if you want to come with me if you want to live.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
or your great Arnold shirt. I think that's a good way to wrap up for the week, Andy. So, um, but all right, we got a couple things we can look forward to this weekend. Football. We got some, politics is coming to an end, I think, for the most part. We got a week and a half left. It's an exciting time. Halloween is next week, Andy. I know you're going to be dressing up. So,
I will not be. I will not be. But Dave, I am going down to Richmond this weekend. I'm going to go watch a comedy show. Do you know Tom Segura? Is that a name you're familiar with?
no, I've not heard that name.
He is a funny, funny man. He's had a number of Netflix specials. He's just a funny, completely inappropriate comedian. My wife and I had tickets to see him before. Stupid cancer got in the way. Didn't get to go. But he's in Richmond this weekend. My wife and I go down and see him and laugh. So I'm gonna miss my Lions game as I drive down there. But it's for a good cause, I think. So looking forward to that.
Well, there you go. Well, we look forward to hearing the recap of it, Andy, then next week.
I'll share it. I'll share it.
All right, Andy, we'll catch up with you next time.